In this video, we're talking about the Orville, Blood of Patriots after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. In talking about this week's Orville, I would like to say that there are two kinds of writing for television. There is incredibly bad writing, and let's start with, say, Gilligan's Island. And we start with that. I mean, it was a comedy show. It had good jokes in it. It had good interplay between the characters, but nobody said that it was ever plotted real well. It was always ooh, we're almost going to get off the island. And they never do, because, of course, if they did, they would be at the end of the series, and there'd be no reason. They had, and even in a TV movie where they actually did escape from the island and they got back to civilization, decided they didn't like it, and ended back up on the island. It goes to show that they were kind of at a dead end. And this is my thought on bad writing, generally speaking. It is something where you can always predict what's going to happen. The best writing, on the other hand, I believe, is where you have a character who has a decision to make. Now, if this were a movie, it would be the most important decision that he ever made in his life. It is something that causes a character to start at one point in his life and move to the next point. A person is changed from the beginning to the end of a movie. If you're not writing a movie that way, it's not done right. On series television, however, you have to have something in between. You have to have something where there is an important decision to make, and the way that you arrive at it is something that builds the character and advances the show on to the next episode. Even in episodic television where the story doesn't always carry over, you have to have something to where things can be resolved that do not hang on whether somebody dies or not, whether somebody will be eliminated from the show or not. And in this case, I think we have seen on this episode of the Orville a very well-written piece, because not only do we have a decision to be made by Captain Mercer, he has to decide whether to hand a Union officer to a right now former enemy that the Union is very interested in making a treaty with, and holding on to the idea of loyalty and of patriotism. And what's interesting about this is it's not just Mercer that has a decision to make. It's also Gordon that does. Gordon has an even harder decision to make. He has encountered an old friend that he went through flight school with, somebody he knew longer than he's known Ed, and who comes in and says, those people were butchers, and made a very compelling case for himself. And Gordon is then put in the same position that Ed is, but in a more profound manner. Here's somebody that saved his life. Here's somebody that is a close friend and says, I didn't do this that they're accusing me of. I don't deserve to be sent back to their prison. You know what they do to people. You know what kind of people they are. I couldn't have possibly done what they've accused me of doing. And the way it's resolved, where it creates a tension between Ed and Gordon, we know that that's eventually going to resolve itself. Once again, series television being what it is, we're not going to eliminate any of the main characters, so those two are going to have a disagreement, but we'll still have to work with each other. The same way Isaac is on the bridge. We don't hear much of him this week. He's doing his duty and he's being treated like, okay, you do your job, but he's not seen in very prominently, at least in any of the social gatherings. If you look back over it, I don't think that he was even there. So we're seeing the fact that a character has to stay, but doesn't necessarily have to be in the forefront. The great thing about this show is that we know there's a decision to be made, but we don't know what the right decision is. In the same place that Ed is, he does not know if this guy who was a friend of Gordon's, who Gordon vouches for, who says would never do this kind of thing, and who he has never do anything, and he's one of us and they're them. How do you arrive at the right decision? How do you arrive at something that could affect billions of people or one person? Now, you don't use that kind of measurement to say, oh, well, one person doesn't count and billions of people do, but a matter of, is this person guilty of what he's being charged? Is this person someone who is, if not deserving, at least guilty? And is that worth placing the entire future of the Union on? The Kalon threat is still there, they mention, and without the Krill, they may never be able to keep them fought off. And so this is a very important treaty. It's a very important decision that has to be made, and the Admiralty has left it all to Ed to do, and Ed has left it to Gordon to do. And it wasn't until Gordon had more proof that his friend was going to commit another crime, and that he made it very clear to Gordon. Gordon still was a friend. He was still someone whose life was saved. He's still someone who understands the nature of the Krill, and putting a person who's his friend up against that is gut-wrenching. And they played it well. They gave it all the gravity that they could. It was a hard decision, and in the end, they made the right one. But it did not disappoint. Perhaps just for pure drama, this could be the best Orville episode I've seen. So I'd like to know what you think about this. Please send me your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you have not subscribed to this, please do. We need more subscribers. We also encourage you to click the bell notification so that when we have a new video out, that you'll be the first to find it. So all that said, tomorrow we will have another review of Discovery. And until then, don't go far.